What is going on, everyone, and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Now, today I've got for you the first episode in a 3-part series. If you've been around on my channel for a while and you remember series like Do It For Dan or Entitled Blabbermouth or any of the other series I've done, especially in the past year or so, I don't do these too often, but when I do, it's because I've found a series of posts from the same person about the same event that are worth more than one episode here on my channel. Now, this story in total has 10 updates and a lot more even after those 10 updates. It was originally posted on r/IDOWorkHereLady, but in reality, I think it's more of a revenge story and ultimately, not to give any spoilers, but a very sad story as well. So without further ado, let's get into episode 1 of 3. Sit back, relax, drop a like on this if you like these sort of series where each and every day you get the next part in the story. Let's go. Do you know who I am? And you're fired until they realize their terrible mistake. Firstly, this didn't happen to me. I was with the person when they received a phone call about this issue. Then he explained it all to me. He's not on Reddit, so I'm sharing it. It is priceless. All names have been changed to protect personal and company identities. Let's start with explaining what listed buildings means. This is important to the story. In the UK, there is a system for preserving ancient and important buildings. If a building has historical importance, it is known as a listed building, and the rules about how it's developed, maintained, and improved are very strict. I need to be vague about the work involved, otherwise it's too easy to identify the parties involved. So, my friend David is skilled in a very niche area of construction. He repairs and renovates buildings using a very old construction method that hasn't been common for several centuries. All his work is on conservation projects and listed buildings. Work was required on a Grade 1 listed property. The overall building work was being done by the main contractor, ACC Limited. One part of the work is very specialised. The contractor's managers didn't know anyone who did it, so the architect gave them a list of qualified people. The contractors chose my friend because he had the earliest availability. 5 days into the work, the owner of ACC Limited, the main contractor company, arrived on site. He was throwing his weight around and being a noisy gob. David's words. That is how he will be referred to for the duration of this story. David was just doing his job and he ignored him. Noisy Gob told one of his carpenters to get him a coffee. The carpenter disappeared. Noisy Gob continued wondering and gobbing off about delays costing him a fortune. 15 minutes after the carpenter had disappeared, the Noisy Gob asked my friend a question. "Where is that frickin' chippy with my coffee?" A chippy is a carpenter. David replied, "I don't know." "Well, go and find out. I'm only here for this job," pointing to the walls. "I don't work for ACC Limited." "I don't give an F whether you're an employer or a subcontractor. You still work for me. Now go and find my freaking coffee." "Firstly," David replied, "I don't appreciate being talked to like that. And secondly, my contract with you is to do these walls, nothing more. I'm definitely not a gopher." "Oh, you don't appreciate being talked to like that, do you? Well, which subcontractor do you work for?" "None. I'm self-employed. It's just me." "A freaking day labourer? And you've got the nerve to talk like that? Do you know who I am?" "Yep." "Well, you're freaking fired. Get off the freaking site now." "Okay, well, put it in writing," David said. "Oh, F off. Just get off the freaking site." David then pulled his phone out and started recording. "Okay, I'll go. I just want proof you told me to go." Noisy Gob grabbed David's hand holding the phone and screamed into the phone, "Get off the site, you freaking idiot. You're fired. If you're still here in 10 freaking minutes, I'll have you freaking thrown out." "Cool, no problem," Dave said. He picked up all his kit and walked away. As he was leaving, the contractor's site manager passed him, ironically with a coffee for the boss, and with a smile said, "You leaving early, Dave? Frickin' part-timers." "No, your boss just fired me. Our contract is ended." "Sorry, mate," David replied. "Wait, no. Let me sort this out. Wait, please wait," the site manager replied. But David left. The site manager was losing his mind because he knew something that Noisy Gob didn't. Only 7 people in the UK are qualified to do this work. They all have a waiting list, and David had been the only one available. By the time David was home, he had 12 missed calls. That was Thursday. 2 working days missed so far. He said he'll go back, but only if he gets paid for the extra days and has a genuine apology in person from the boss. I met my friend when he was getting a call from the site manager saying the boss apologizes but is out of the country, so can't apologize face to face. David also told me he phoned the other specialists to warn them, but they'd all been phoned on Friday, begging them to do the job. Nobody took the work. They're all booked solid. David also phoned the architect to warn him. Situations like this, some unscrupulous contractors try to bodge the job and fake the work. David is going to stick to his guns. Pay for all missed days, plus a face-to-face apology. He's sure he'll get it. I've said I'll pay anything to watch the face-to-face apology. Okay, let's get into the first of 10 updates to this story. Remember, 10 updates. They're not all going to be in this episode, but make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the future episodes where we go through all 10 updates. The site manager phoned to say he was told by Noisy Gob to threaten legal action if David doesn't finish the job. The site manager was very embarrassed and apologetic. David reminded him he didn't leave and has proof that he was fired. The site manager phoned again to say Noisy Gob will apologize face-to-face on Friday. Can David start tomorrow? David said no. Following the threat of legal action, the conditions are different. 1. Face-to-face apology before work restarts. 2. Added pay for wasted days. 3. Payment of full contract value up front before the work starts. And 4. This all must happen by Thursday. That is the last day he can start and still expect to finish before his next booking. If he also works the weekends, he has just enough time. I asked him, why isn't he charging a huge extra amount for the guy being such an idiot? But he said it doesn't really look good if you take advantage of companies when they're under time pressure. It's not the done thing. It seems that one of my friends is an 18th century gentleman. Now, a slight correction here. I misunderstood David when he said only 7 others do the work. He actually meant only 7 other businesses apart from his. They are small businesses though, so he says it's probably about 20 people total who can do it. Still a small number, but not as comically small as 7. Sorry for misleading you all about the number. Not really misled me at all, to be fair. That's still like 20 total humans in the entirety of the UK who could do this work. It's not that many more than 7. I just feel like surely Noisy Gob should know that David is one of, as I said, 21 people that can do this, and therefore they should be acting like really carefully to ensure that the job gets done. You got to leave your ego and say, okay, maybe I don't like what's going on here, or I'm a bit of an idiot, but we need this job to get done, and David is the only one who can do it properly. Now, obviously, you'd have to be self-aware enough to be able to understand that. And Noisy Gob isn't self-aware, so that would never happen. And if you were self-aware, then you wouldn't be in this situation anyway. So a bit of a oxymoron, I suppose. But at least it makes for a good story for us. So let's get into the second update and see what happens next. All right, now for the second update. Unfortunately, it seems there will be no apology. David has discovered that the site manager was blamed for not making Noisy Gob aware of the situation beforehand and was fired. David contacted the operations director for ACC Limited, Noisy Gob's number 2, and informed them that an apology is no longer required as he will not be returning to the job. The ops director apologized for everything and offered to renegotiate the money very generously. David told him that he'd only considered going back to the job as a personal favor to the original site manager, and since he isn't there, he feels no obligation to return. The ops director said he'll get back to David, but didn't say why. David's in such a strong position here. If you're one of 21 people in the whole of the UK that can do this work, and you haven't been respected, and they're all busy, oh my goodness, you just have everyone in the palm of your hands. So fair play to him for acting as he's doing, but I just don't understand why Noisy Gob didn't realise how precious this situation is, and that David is the only one that can do this. Anyway, let's get back into it. I asked why he didn't say, give him his job back or I won't come back. Yeah, fair question. David said, well, Noisy Gob is actually too petty and weak to be told what to do by a craftsman. It will have to be the company's idea for the site manager to come back. If I tell them to bring him back, it just won't happen. David says the site manager is great at his job, but is only 4 years from retirement, so it's not easy to find a job at 61. I've decided I like David even more than I did 3 days ago. Now for the third update. It's 2 AM here. We've just got back from the pub. David got a call while we were out from the sacked site manager. David updated the architect on the situation this afternoon. The architect contacted the sacked site manager to tell him about a company who needed a site manager. The sacked site manager phoned David just before 9 p.m. I had to sit through the phone call, only hearing one side. I must have looked childishly excited, like I got a butt full of sparrows. Then David filled me in. The site manager rang to thank him and to find out his favourite drink so he can send him a bottle. He hasn't got the new job yet, but he's seeing them on Friday. Apparently, the architect's recommendation carries some weight, so he's optimistic. David refused at first. I didn't get you a job, the architect did. But the site manager said, you set all this in motion and told the architect I'd been fired. Because of you, I never need to deal with that obnoxious pillock ever again. David wasn't specific about who the obnoxious pillock was. We'll have to guess. David said his drink is Cardew Gold Reserve. He said he will accept a bottle only if A, the site manager gets the new job, and B, if the site manager will come over and drink the Cardew with David. It looks like the handsome scribe who did the enormously difficult, time-consuming job of skillfully writing this saga down on Reddit isn't included in the whiskey consumption. As David poetically put it, pee off you idiot, you can buy your own frickin' drink. All good news, hopefully, except that nobody gets to see that idiot, Noisy Gob, eat trash when he has to apologise. I was so looking forward to that. Also, some additional information. David and the fired site manager know each other outside of work. They're each members of charity organisations in the same town. 2 different groups, but they work together a lot. The site manager is in Rotary Club, and David is in Round Table. I don't think he's a knight, but you never know. Okay, so it takes 5 years to become just competent and at least 9 years to be a master craftsman. I don't know if master is an actual legit term there because OP has said the job needs at least 1 master present. Maybe that is a term, but 9 years is insane. It really is. However, there are other jobs out there that do require similar levels of sort of training in terms of time. I'm thinking to be a doctor, anything in medicine really, or architects in the UK I know is a 7-year training course. That does involve some years actually in industry, but still I think it's a 7-year long degree. But yeah, 9 years to be a master craftsman. And again, I go back to the fact that David is just one of 21 people in the country that could do this, in the whole of the UK that could do this. I get it. It probably would give away who David was if you said what he does. But I mean, we can kind of infer that it's a pretty specialized job to do with, obviously, historic buildings. Okay, now on to the 4th update. Operations Director for ACC Limited phoned David to suggest that they take the site manager back and generously renegotiate the money. David says, well, you've missed the boat. There's no way he can finish the job on his own before he starts his next job. There's an absolute minimum of 11 days work left if everything goes without a hitch. David's next job starts 4th of November. Only 10 days left if he works both weekends. It's too late. I wish I could be a fly on the wall when Noisy Gob is told. Now, many of you are asking what David does. Unfortunately, if I said what it was, it is so identifying that I might as well give you his real name and his address. Sorry. The reason there are very few of these people is that it takes 5 years to become just competent and at least 9 years to be a master craftsman. The jobs need at least 1 master present when the work is done. Okay, now for update 5. Bad news. The fired site manager didn't get the other job. He met the new company, but they're not taking him on. The reasons aren't clear. David is meeting him on Sunday to discuss it. I can tell that David feels like trash about it, even though it's not his fault. The site manager says he's going to take action for unfair dismissal. I thought this was going to be a win-win-win, but I suppose life isn't like that. Update 6. News about the sacked site manager. The situation isn't as bad as we first thought. I think we misunderstood what happened on Friday. David talked to him yesterday. The company he saw on Friday are not employing him in the normal way. That part was correct, but they have offered him a fixed-term contract for 18 months on a distribution centre build. It's not perfect, but on the bright side, it's slightly better paid than ACC. It's only 18 months, but that's better than nothing. There's also the chance that the new company might extend the contract if another project comes in. Update 7. David has heard they're getting a Bulgarian to come over to do the job. David was grinning when he told me. He thinks he knows what will happen. There's a similar but different technique that was used on some 19th century buildings in Sofia. David thinks that the guy will use that technique. It looks similar, but two very important materials are different. David's decided to wait. He plans to let the Bulgarian finish the job and get paid. Then, David is going to suggest to the planning department and the client that they check the two components. Unless the Bulgarian knows the 17th century English method, he will have used the wrong materials. It would mean ripping it out and starting again. They are incredibly strict with this type of work. I shouldn't want this so much, but I really hope this happens. I am a petty man. Remember, this is a listed building. And as someone who lives in the UK, I'm from London, I know the regulations around these sort of things are extremely strict. Stuff has to be done to the letter. Now, many people are asking, when will David know if the Bulgarian has done the job right? David might know fairly soon, since there are very few suppliers of one of the materials. If the Bulgarian contacts them, David will be told. In David's words, it's a tiny incestuous part of the industry and they gossip like old women. Correction, we all gossip like old women. If he doesn't go there, David is leaving it alone until he's told that the work is finished and the Bulgarian is paid. He doesn't want to put the guy's money at risk. In David's words, I don't want the Bulgarian to drag his butt over here and go home empty-handed just because I can't wait to drop silly balls in the trash. The man's got a living to earn. I'll wait. And just in case of confusion, Silly Balls is the same person as Noisy Gob. It should take the Bulgarian about 3 weeks to finish the job unless he works weekends. David knows plenty of people on site and a few at ACC head office, so he will know when the job is finished. So, I've got to sit on my hands for 3 to 4 weeks and pretend that I'm not an excited 7-year-old girl peeing her pants about Christmas coming. Update 8. David has been told that the Bulgarian got straight to it and started work. He's had materials delivered, but from an ordinary building supplier. The stuff he needs to do the job properly is too bulky for him to bring with him, even if they sell it in Bulgaria. He hasn't ordered it from the UK supplier. There are 3, but only one has enough for this job because they got it in for David. So, unless it's coming by road and ferry, he's not using the right materials. David wouldn't allow it to go unreported, even if he wasn't annoyed about Noisy Gob. He's got a genuine passion for looking after all these buildings that he works on, and he's a purist when it comes to historical accuracy. So, now I have to hold my water for 3 to 4 weeks. David says that if he's using more modern materials, he might finish sooner. 3 weeks is the time it takes if you stay in the 17th century. I've turned into a bit of a weirdo about this job. When I phoned David earlier on a pretext, he realised I was after info again, and he said, F me, do you want me to fit a body cam so you can see and hear everything as it happens? Well, if it's not too much trouble and you can link me into your phone calls, that'd be nice, I said. David, after laughing, added, You freaking idiot. Is it okay if I cover the lens when I'm pooing and having sex with my wife? Well, personally, I don't do those two things at the same time, but whatever floats your boat, David. You're telling me to do them separately? When are you having sex with my wife? Oh, well, right after she's cleaned all the trash off the sheets from doing you. Some of us are fussy. Oh, pee off. You're an uptight clean freak, David says. Then he hangs up. Wow, what a phone call. No goodbye, no see you soon. English manners aren't what they used to be. I know it doesn't look like it, but honestly, I do have a life. I promise. Okay, and that is where we're going to leave this for episode 1. Bit of a cliffhanger, I know, but trust me, I have divided all the content up as evenly as I can into 3 separate episodes, and it would just be too long to have as one episode, trust me on that one. So, yeah, sorry, but the only thing you can do now is subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on, and then you'll be notified when the next episode drops, either tomorrow or the next day or the next day. Okay? So, I'm sorry, but that's what you're going to have to do. Don't worry, it'll only be about 24 hours till the next episode, and you won't have to wait too long. I've also got to say, that last little, interaction between David and OP, that's the most British interaction ever. You hit your mate with a little jab. They come back a little bit stronger. You go back a little bit stronger. All joking, of course, but it can get quite dark, which I find extremely funny. I mean, the last few lines there are great, and it's exactly how I would talk to my mates. It may not be an American thing, but in the UK, between good friends, that conversation and the style of it is extremely common, and I love it. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this one. If you are fortunate enough to be watching this and listening to this maybe a couple of days after it's been released, then the next episode may already be on screen right here. If not, just subscribe, as I said, turn noties on, and you will know when the next episode drops. Look out for it, and I will catch you there.